This is Daniel Johnston from readersandwritersparadise.com, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite books. This book is a little different than the ones I usually talk about. This is a nonfiction book, Apology by Plato, and a lot of you probably heard of it, probably read it. I want to talk about some of my favorite things from the book. I happened to read it when one of my good friends at the time had a copy of the book. Of course, he hadn't read it, but I borrowed it and read it, and it made a huge impact on me, and I think I still live my life by some of the ideas in this book. And of course, for those who aren't familiar, the Apology is where Socrates pleads his case before the court, because he's been accused that he's leading the youth astray and teaching new gods and rejecting the old ones. And so they are going to kill him. And this is very interesting. It's Socrates' defense speech, and this was like 2,500 years ago in the 5th century BC, back in Greece, in Athens. However, all of this is still very applicable today, and in fact, most people today are disregarding it a lot. So the first thing first he talks about how he's not going to grovel and beg, and this is one of the things which I find most interesting about what Socrates says, is that he would rather take hemlock than go against what he believes in lies and degrade himself and say that he didn't really mean it or whatever, because that would be going against himself, and he knows that that is bad, that is wrong, but he doesn't know whether death is good or bad. He just doesn't know. It's neutral as far as he knows. So his logic is, why not choose something that is that he's not sure whether it's good or bad, than something that is definitely bad. So he's saying death may be good, may be bad, but lying, begging, that's definitely bad. And that's amazing logic, and I've never heard anybody else say anything like that. But that's probably the main thing from the book, which just struck me, is that he's absolutely right, that if you have an option of something that you know is bad and something that you don't know, then choose what you don't know, because it's definitely going to be, definitely better to choose something you don't know than to choose something bad. And so that was really wise. And in the book, Socrates talks about how he went to an oracle, and the oracle Delphi, I think, told him that he was the wisest man around. And and of course he said, well, he's wise because he didn't know anything, because he's like, what, I'm the wisest man, I don't even know anything. And so he went around to try to see if this was true, and so he went around testing various people, which is part of the reason they didn't like him. Part of the reason was he was friends with Critias, but it doesn't really talk about that much in the book. That's more Greek history. That's kind of besides the point anyway. And so he went around asking people, and what they knew, and testing them. And a lot of these rich, highly influential people really didn't like that. And what Socrates found is that he was wisest because he knew he didn't know anything, whereas these people thought they knew something when they really didn't. So this is very wise too, because really, we don't really know anything. You can think you know stuff, and you can presume, and you can do your best, but in the end, what Socrates is saying is really humility, being humble. And Socrates is very humble, and he realizes that the human mind inherently can't really know anything. So by knowing that he knows nothing, he is the wisest man. So that was pretty impressive. And yeah, it's a pretty short book, I think, like what, 150 pages or something. But there's a lot of great truth in it, and it's I would say probably the first thing of this kind of Greek philosophy I would have. I would want to read. It's the first thing I did read, because some of the other like Socratian dialogues are kind of more dense, more difficult to understand. This is very, very simple, very easy to understand, and it's packed with a lot of truth for living life. So, yeah, Plato's Apology, a great book, and I would certainly recommend reading it. So, let me know in the comments what you think of the book, if you've read it or not, and what you thought of it, what kind of impact it had on you. And check out my website at readersandwritersparadise.com, and subscribe to my channel for more book reviews and other fun stuff. So, see you later.